Back and free. We ain't tired yet, but we tired of y'all because I'm gonna go ahead and now. And this is not a parental discretion advised warning, but do be warned. We getting ready to go in because me and this brother had a conversation the other day as I was riding, coming from Wilson, as he likes to say, to go get my family food. So, so I was coming back for picking up food for my family, and my cousin. I'm gonna go ahead and point out who brought it to my attention. As I'm on the phone with Free and I'm at a stoplight, I noticed my cousin has posted about something and someone who died. So he just typed the name Canon Hinnant in, and I'm like, "Who's Canon Hinnant?" And I Google it, look it up, and I read the story. And I say to this brother immediately after reading the story, Free, man, this 5-year-old boy was killed execution style outside in front of his family. And this brother immediately in that conversation went, man, did they find out who did it? And I'm like, yeah, man, they did. I can't believe this dude did that, man. This is insane. Like, it just sickened us both to read that story. Now, what I want to point out, which is important, because when I tell you we're getting ready to go in on y'all, we're going all the way in. So I hope you got your chin strap buckled. Not once in that conversation did we say, what color is he? Or who was he? Or was he white? Was it a white boy or was it a black boy? Was it who the guy who killed him? Was he white or black? We didn't care. We didn't care because that wasn't important. What was important was a 5-year-old had been murdered for no good reason whatsoever, and that the culprit who murdered him was apprehended immediately. We didn't need to start, so that conversation didn't need to end with, man, let's organize. Let's call News 2 or WRAL right now, and let's figure out how we need to take to the streets. We didn't have to do that because in the end of this conversation, the person, the culprit who murdered this 5-year-old boy was immediately apprehended. A manhunt went out for his arrest, and he was found and arrested. Case closed. Now that young man's family has to face his justice, which for you who haven't lost anybody yet, or at least anybody you care about, they have to face his justice in a court of law, which, for in case you hadn't figured it out yet, that family's never going to get justice. Because the only clear justice is that somebody could bring their 5-year-old back from a murder. That's what's important here. And Free, I'm going to try to hold myself together and not curse during this segment because I'm telling you, y'all have gotten on my nerves with this one. That young boy's family, I am praying for them, and Free, although he's doing his seminary right now, knows I'm not that much of a churchy guy. But I am praying for this people's family because they are going to go through something that I would wish on not even my worst enemy. Not that I have any. But they are going through something that for us who have not had any children to be murdered, have no understanding of. So that's first and foremost. But what you conservative mother jivers, I had to get creative on that one because I had to catch it. What y'all have done today is you have hijacked this family's pain to push an agenda message that does not make sense. And I'm not even going to say you're being intellectually dishonest. Y'all are just flat out dumb. This one's dumb. And I'm going to go to what I just posted so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. First off, let me reintroduce you to Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof walked into a church in South Carolina, long story short, and killed 9 unarmed, innocent black people who were in a church praising God. As a result, Dylan Roof was immediately apprehended. He was arrested. He was jailed. He had no bail. The justice those families are going to have to serve is the same as the Hinnant family right now, which is they had to wait for it to play out in court and find out what his demise would be there following. but it doesn't bring back the 9 people that he murdered. So before I go any further, I want you jokers to tell me, find me the articles, show me the timeline of when you saw Black Lives Matter or any other protesting organization in the name of innocent black people became active at the immediate justice for the families. I don't even remember seeing those hashtags. And we're looking at hashtags today after an innocent 5-year-old boy was murdered, asking for justice. And you actually have the nerve, the audacity, the mitigated gall to show up in our face today and say and hashtag justice for Cannon, or why isn't the media covering this? Last time I checked, and I'm going to cover this again on SYAD so I can say this as freely as I want to. But the last time I checked, when the suspect is apprehended in every single one of those stories, that's the reason why it doesn't become a national story. Because it plays out the way it's supposed to. And in this case, it played out the way it was supposed to. We didn't have to wait. So just in case you were forgotten, and Free, I'm going to let you go in next. Let me reintroduce you to Ahmaud Arbery, who was an unarmed black man who was hunted down while jogging by 2 armed white men, not law enforcement. Notice, I'm not even telling you a law enforcement story, and that's a whole nother angle. But not law enforcement people. Ran them down, gunned them down, and it took them almost 2 months to put them in jail. So then you saw people begin to strategize and organize and talk about exactly where we should be doing and why. Because it took them too long to apprehend murderers. Last time I checked, Cannon Hinnant's family didn't have to deal with that. Thank God they didn't. Because if they did, I would feel for them too. But you jokers are being so intellectually dishonest with yourselves that it's made you stupid. And I'm not calling this one any other way. If you don't like what I'm saying, at me. We could have a conversation. But stupidity is when you refuse, even though you have the ability to, you refuse to use the gray matter in your brain. This story is not the same as George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery. This story is more like Dylan Roof, if you want a clear example of what it looks like. And the last I checked, nobody protested about Dylan Roof. Go ahead, Free. I done had enough of these suckers.
Well, just to put it in some more context, and this is responding because we've seen where people have even taken this tragedy and started to politicize it and kind of combat the thought. And what Mac is kind of speaking to, we saw where it was posted. Someone was like, all this protest about George Floyd and I guess they said he overdosed and died in police custody, and then not all this fuss about this young child. Now, first and foremost, as Mac pointed out, this was tragic, and we're glad that a sick individual who did this is arrested and in custody. But the fact that you're using this matter, and this family hasn't even had a week to grieve and politicize it to attack Black Lives Matter movements and stuff like that, is insensitive, number one, but it's ridiculous because, as Mac said, it's not comparable. Because when we look at the two, what Black Lives Matter, the sentiment is for those to where we don't see immediate action or immediate convictions. And that is what it is about. So when people put this thing out and try to polarize it, white or black, that just lets us know further that you're not trying to deal with the issue that is at hand, and that is justice for all. This young child's murderer was apprehended, and we hope he gets the maximum penalty. But that's the justice on the surface, and we just pray for that family. But that's the justice that needs to be served. Oftentimes, since they brought it up comparing to George Floyd, we see those that protect and serve that have killed people. I'm gonna just put people in general, and that have gotten off because of their positions or technicalities. Furthermore, to bring it home to Mac's point, just like when Dylan Roof, we didn't need to march because he was arrested. He was convicted immediately, but then looking at Ahmaud Arbery, hadn't it not been for that video to resurface, would those gentlemen been brought to justice? How many police and individuals have gotten off for murder? And that's what it is. And if you sit here and polarize this to make it black and white and like this, it just shows you don't want to deal with the true issue. It's not about who did what, because I think in that post they even said a white kid murdered by a black man, and they tried to make it a racial issue. It's about justice. We want justice for all, but
Absolutely.
when you take a group where it seems like they're murderers and convictors, murderers and people that perform these heinous crimes, it takes longer to bring them to justice through the system. That's where the issue lies. Don't make it to where black people don't, because now you're trying to portray that black people don't care about white lives. That's not what Black Lives Matters means, and they need to stop that because that's disingenuous. And that's what this person is trying to do. Like, was murdered by a black man, why don't you stand up? No, they caught this man, and hopefully he gets the maximum penalty. This was heinous, and it has nothing to do with color. So for the ignorant ones that want to harp and keep making this a racial issue and not about justice, we're going to have these same conversations, and we're going to keep combating that, because that's the ignorance that keeps us divided, because we have a problem with dealing with the issue. And I'm gonna leave it there, Mac.
Yeah, I can't with y'all today, man. Like I really don't know. I really don't know what's and thank you for clarifying, Free, but I really don't know what else it's supposed to be. I'm not even sure why this needed to even come up. Like, but again, this is what was I talking to you about the other day? QAnon. And I was saying that QAnon was injected into the fabric of our society for one reason and one reason only: to justify a mistake. Donald Trump was that reprehensible that they had to make up these outlandish claims and put him at the forefront of it to go, yeah, he's here to combat it. Like, what? So he's in the photos because he was there to combat it. Okay, fine. All right, fine. You want to go there, fine. But what you've done is you've injected this to hijack the greater conversation, which is Joker has no business being president. And right now, you don't have a clear, this is where you know you've run out of arguments. You don't have a clear argument against Black Lives Matter or its movement. So what you've done in essence is said, hey, look, why isn't anybody talking about this 5-year-old that was murdered tragically? Because for the same reason why we don't talk about, and again, it's contradictory against your argument on black violence for all of you. It was like, when are you going to fix that? Well, the reason why Black Lives Matter is not involved in the black on black violence issue is for this reason. Because when a black person kills another black person, they are immediately apprehended and taken to jail once identified. That's why. The other reason why, and I have to make this, for the same reason why nobody in the white community is up in arms or protesting on white crime. Just in case you hadn't figured it out, white on white crime is higher than black on black crime, but you don't hear it referred to that way because neither of those things exist. There's no more such thing of a white on white crime as there is a black on black crime. But we don't see y'all taking it to the streets when somebody in your community gets murdered. Why is that? Because if and we don't have that until